Hello and welcome to Ventana Wildlife Society's The Condor Chat. And thank you for those of you that attended last month to get a sneak peek of that new look of our presentation and for providing feedback. It was tremendously helpful, and we ended up with what you just saw. So thank you again, and really just a minor adjustment or tweak to our presentation. Obviously, it's the same place, same time, and same great content. We have a bunch of things to talk about today. We always talk about things about condors. Sometimes we have guests, but we always have the Condor crew. This month, Joe Burnett couldn't be with us, but we have Mike Stake, Kara Fadden, Katie O'Connell, and Darren Gross is going to be our host today. So without further ado, oh wait, one more thing. We just announced that the Giants of Big Sur, California Condor Stories, the three-part series film that we created, was released and made publicly available. So if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. It's on our website and on our YouTube channel, Giants of Big Sur. So once again, thank you for being here, and we'll turn it over to Darren and hear from the Condor crew. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Just going to get the presentation up here. All right. Yeah, thanks again, Kelly, for introducing all of us. Yeah, Joe, as well as our biologist, Evan, they're both on much-deserved vacations. And Danae is also on a much-deserved day off. So it'll be me and Kara from our Condor crew, and also Katie, our intern, who just finished up last week, actually, but wanted to come on and join in for the Condor Chat still. So yeah, thank you, Katie, for being here and joining in for this. And then yeah, Kelly, thanks for being here as well. And Mike, yeah, looking forward to get into the questions that you've got ready for us once we go through the update here. All right, so the agenda, we'll go through a little bit more, just introducing ourselves a bit more, and then we've got a fun poll on one of our nesting females that will get you guys to participate in. We'll give a quick update on rebuild status and really its road closures and logistics around that we've been dealing with the past month of rain and stormy weather. We'll get into a population status update, a quick in memoriam section, an update on Condor 663 Junipero, our one-legged wonder. Evan, before he left, made us a pretty sweet condor tracking map that we'll get to show and explain to you guys. And then yeah, we'll wrap up with the 2023 nesting update and then get into the question and answer session. Yeah, so just another quick breakdown of our crew. Joe is our program manager. Mike is our non-lead program manager, and then yeah, us biologists, there's me and Kara who are on today, as I previously said, and then Evan and Danae. Katie, again, just finished up her internship, but was kicking butt for us the past 6 months. Tim Huntington is our database designer and volunteer, without which we couldn't accomplish really any of the tracking and monitoring stuff we do now, so big thanks to Tim. And then also we have a great team of volunteers that we've been working with really since the summer, but especially recently we welcomed some new folks onto that. So yeah, big thank you to all of our volunteers.
Yeah. Okay. So first up is our poll. So this is a poll we're titling Miracles Match. If you guys have been following the story, this kind of started last season, but has again kind of continued and progressed this nesting season. Miracle 538 nested with Nomad 574 2 seasons ago, and successfully fledged chick 1104. And these guys were strong. They were a good couple. They raised that chick together successfully, but kind of on the off seasons, Miracle kind of saw what else was out there and was kind of hanging out with some other condors, one of which is 219. So we've kind of had this like talk amongst the crew of who she's going to go with, if we think she's going to nest with her mate from before 574 Nomad, or if she's going to switch it up and go with 219 Puff Daddy. So again, a little recap. We have Puff Daddy, who's our semi-retired bad boy. He's a drama king. He displays to everybody and everything. And he's very puffy, as you can see in this picture. A lot of condors kind of like puff up to during the nesting season and also just kind of to like show dominance, but Puff Daddy is puffy all the time. And then we also have Nomad, who's our reliable and faithful, her partner from, as I said, the 2021 nesting season. He's low maintenance. He was a wild fledge. They're both fantastic fathers. So we kind of want to give you guys a shot and see who you think that she's going to pick. Another little drama bit of this is that 219 is Nomad's biological father. So it adds a little more drama to the condor world. So we're going to set this poll up. I think Darren set it up, and we want to see what you all think, like who you think she's going to go with. The semi-retired bad boy or reliable Nomad?
And there's no choice for both.
There isn't. That's a great point, but there's not a choice for both.
That's a really good point. A few people have asked if maybe they would form a trio, and did they form a trio previously? Or was that
Not in the past. There's always potential, but
Yeah.
they haven't in the past.
Okay, it was a different trio I'm thinking of then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tough call.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I've always been leaning toward 574 with this, just from my previous experience of their having successful nests. But yeah, 219's really been putting
I was gonna say I'm team 219, but I love a little drama sometimes.
Oh no, it's been
And I love 219. Not that I love Nomad too, but
yeah, it's definitely been fun for us to follow and
yeah.
and see what's up. Follow all the drama, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Never an end to that in the condor world, which is amazing.
I wish I could vote.
I know we
Panelists can't vote though.
panelists can't vote.
Yeah,
We
we
didn't want to skew the data.
Yeah.
but future polls, yeah, we'll definitely get some panelist participation. But all right, yeah, I'm gonna end the poll now. Thanks everyone for participating, and we'll reveal.
Yeah, we'll reveal the results at the end of the Zoom.
Mhm. All right. All right, so getting into the rebuild update, or as I said, really, it's just been us. This is more of like a general field access update, because we've gotten a lot of rain this past month, which has been great, because we really needed it out here in Big Sur. But that also means that a lot of the dirt and gravel roads we use to get to our field sites have become inaccessible, just from mudslides, landslides, fallen trees, all sorts of things. The photos here are from one of our colleagues who works out in Big Sur and helps manage one of the main roads we use to access our field sites. Was taking photos of some of the fallen trees and the mud that's fallen down, and the work they've had to do to clean that up. And this just kind of gives you an idea of the stuff that's been preventing us from really getting out of the field as much this past month. Yeah, you can see here, that there's been a lot of work just like removing the mudslides, making the road drivable again, and then just waiting for it to dry out. And it's worked out. It's worked out this past month that as soon as the road's been dry after a few days of sun, the next storm's coming in. So it's been tough trying to get out in the field this past month, but I think we're turning the corner. I think we've got some sun coming up, some continuous sun coming up in these next week and in the coming weeks. So yeah, we'll probably be able to get out a little more and then actually be able to give you guys more of an update on the rebuild. But that's pretty much been on hold this past month while we've been unable to get up to the site with any regularity and dealing with the road conditions and the weather.
Okay, yeah, so a quick population update for Central California. Thankfully, we haven't had any mortality since last month. However, we did end up declaring 716 Orville, I believe, missing in the wild. So kind of the way we do that is if it has like been a year since their last detection, we consider them missing in the wild. And this kind of, we tracked on the ground. We had our amazing partners at Lighthawk fly and track for him. So yeah, his last visual was, I believe, on our camera on March 21st, 2022. And unfortunately, he was kind of showing signs of like clinical signs of lead toxicosis. So we can't say for sure if that was his cause of death because he was missing and we never were able to recover him. But as I said, again, we kind of were on the ground. We were hiking around trying to get a signal for him. And we, again, partnered with Lighthawk to get in the air and try to get a signal for him. But unfortunately, a year has now passed since that last visual. So yeah, he will be declared dead or yeah, missing in the wild, unfortunately. But we'll just spin around the sad news. This is a little Junipero update. So our amazing one-leg wonder 663. Also, he turns 11 today. So 11 years ago today, Junipero was hatched. So he was a wild fledge. His dad's 209 and his mom is 236. So Tiny and Shadow. I need to be better with these names, but we love them. They're not together anymore, but they're both nesting like still. They have new partners. And yeah, so he was hatched 11 years ago, which is awesome. But also he was seen over at Pinnacles National Park on the 11th. We haven't been able to get a signal for him, so he's likely stealth, just meaning his transmitter's no longer working. But we got this awesome photo of him, and that was on the 11th. So he's still out there. He's still blowing our minds that he's kicking butt. But yeah, we love him.
He looks pretty good. I mean, the feathers look good. It looks, I can't
he's
see
got
how.
a crop.
Yeah, it looks like he has a crop. I mean, you would not think this is a one-legged condor.
No, as I said, and I think we all have said, he's like blown our expectations that he's still out there and he's really figured out how to like survive with one leg, which I don't think any of us really knew how that was going to go. No one, even in captivity, knows, like, this is the only one-legged condor in the world. So no one really knew what was going to happen, but he's doing amazing. Okay, we also have an Nico update. I know everyone loves her, including us. She was trapped over at Pinnacles, and I actually went over there with Danae to participate in the handling. So we handled Sweet Nico and released her back out into the wild. And her GPS unit failed on December 17th, but we were able to put a new one on her. And it is already uploading data. So we'll be able to get more kind of Nico maps out for you all to see what she's doing and where she's hanging out. She didn't go too far from Pinnacles, so yeah, but Aniko's doing awesome. She looked great. We did the whole health check. And yeah, she's doing awesome.
All right, so with the weather this past month limiting our field operations, they also kind of put a damper on Condor movements. So we thought we'd change it up this month, and Evan made a map of biologist movements instead for the areas we typically cover really recently with the weather, but also just in general with all of our field work. So this really gives you a good idea of the total area we cover, and then also parses out the areas that are actually accessible to us. So yeah, it's a really large area we cover, 4,616 square miles, but only 37% of that area is actually accessible to us or non-private lands. And there's 2,898 square miles, or 63% of this total area, that are private lands that we cannot regularly access. And that ties back to some stuff we presented previously, where Evan's put together maps showing just how much condors are on private land. And that's why things like, beyond the radio tracking we do, like luckily with that, we're still able to pick up condors if they're in an area that we can't physically access. We can still get their signal if they're out there. But also this highlights the value of the GPS units for us to really follow their movements and for us to be able to monitor them, track them, find out what they're doing, go get visuals if needed. And at times when we need to access that private land, it helps us figure out who we need to contact to get that access. But yeah, I mean, you can see too, this area covers a lot of remote areas, and with the Highway 1 closure as well, that's sort of past just south of Dolan Point there. Everything south of there we can't actually access from Monterey, or from the Ventana Wildlife Society office that's up there at the top. And yeah, I've been put in sort of the driving times that it takes for us to get to each of these locations, so you can see how much area and how far we're going in a typical week. And yeah, I know Kara, you had a great summary of your past couple of weeks with all the places you went.
Yeah, I was saying the last 2 weeks, Darren and I, which I guess isn't on this map, but we went up to Petaluma and got some calf carcasses for our proffered feeding. So up to Petaluma, and then Katie and I were able to go down to around San Ardo last Thursday. And then yesterday I was over at Pinnacles, and now I'm back in Monterey. Oh, and I was in Big Sur on Monday. So like, we're all over the place.
Well, and you should let Mike talk a little bit about where he's been delivering
know.
that ammunition to hunters and ranchers.
So we're kind of, yeah, all over the place, looking at condors and distributing non-lead ammunition and doing what we do.
I need to get Evan working on my map.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I know he has that distribution map, so that's probably pretty close to the Mike distribution map too.
Yeah. Today, Derek was in that sort of 198 tracking location area, delivering ammo. So
Wow, yeah.
as we speak, he's getting back from that section of the map there. So yes, we're all out and about.
All right. All right, Katie, you want to give us an update on how things are at San Sam?
Yeah. So again, due to the weather, I wasn't able to spend too much time in March up with the rookies. But that being said, we've been following their GPS movements really closely, and they have been starting to branch out a bunch. Non-surprisingly, especially 1100, she seems to be making her way up north again. And I mean, I'm sad that I have to say bye to them, but I'm excited to see where they go.
Yeah, and even in the last week, I think we've noticed some movements through GPS too. Some of the birds, and especially some of the birds that haven't typically moved very far yet, like Wild Bill 1085 made a nice little flight along the ridge heading north. And yeah, again with the field access, it's been, and the weather, it's been tough to get out to these sites, but I was able to get some fresh carcasses out to these birds last week.
Nice.
And yeah, the rookies were around, and a lot of other adult birds were around too. Some of the regular San Simeon residents, like 566 Mike's bird, 758 Thunder Chief has been a more regular down there. So yeah, they were all stoked that there was nice weather and fresh food out there.
That's awesome. I'm gonna miss those guys.
Yeah,
It's everybody. I know it's not the same as being there, but of course the camera's always going, so we watch whatever hijinks they're getting into.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely learning. I mean, I think it's been this way for a while, but it's fun to see them know how to handle like the adult interactions a little better. Like if 566 comes in and kicks a like 1085 off of a carcass, he doesn't just fly away, he just kind of walks away a little bit and then goes to some other part of the carcass or like to a different one. So they're getting bolder, they're learning the tricks of how to be a juvenile and be savvy out there with all these other adult birds around. So yeah, they've been doing great.
Okay, I think this is the moment everybody's always waiting for, is our 2023 nesting update. So I think the most exciting thing since last time is that we are pretty sure that 646 Kodama and 204 Amigos nest has hatched, just based on our lay date. again, with the roads and kind of the weather, we haven't been able to actually get to the nest and confirm that. But again, just from lay date, we're pretty sure that it's hatched. So that's super, super exciting. We have also confirmed that 626 Pinnacles female and 729 Ninja, they have a nest now. So we said that they laid that on February 25th. So that is expected to hatch on April 22nd. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as well. Other than that, Pinnacles has been confirming nests kind of left and right, which is awesome. We have 317 and 330, which was an existing nest from last Zoom. But they also suspect that that has hatched. Again, haven't been able to like visually confirm that yet. Then we have 236, who's Junipero's mom, and 340, they have an egg, and that chick is expected to hatch on May 9th. 569 Phoebe and 589 are also expected to hatch on May 9th. And this is their third season in a row going. So we always joke that these coastal birds need to learn a couple things from the inland birds, because they're kind of showing us up with just nesting year after year, which is not common. Like usually condors don't do that, but they are doing it, which is incredible. And then lastly, we have 726 Little Stinker and 692. Their egg is expected to hatch on May 14th. So currently we have 6 confirmed nests with potentially 2 hatched already. So yeah, it's looking to be a pretty good season. So we're excited to kind of see everything that happens. Okay. Also, another moment I think you're all waiting for is our poll results. So we're going to tell you who Miracle actually decided, but let's see what you all thought.
All right.
Okay, so 72% thought she'd stay with Nomad 574, and 28% thought she would switch it up and go to 219 Puff Daddy. So,
All right.
drum roll. So Miracle decided to switch it up and go with Puff Daddy. I don't know. It's just insane. But we were able to confirm her hanging out in Puff Daddy's territory, which is not near 574's territory. So again, that's kind of how we're thinking that they're not going to be a trio, just because their territories are pretty far away from each other. But yeah, we signaled her hanging out there, and kind of are suspecting them just on their like detections, visual, as well as signal detections, that they have in fact decided to nest this season. Again, kind of the moral of this whole Zoom is until the roads kind of improve and everything clears up, we're not going to be able to confirm if they've actually started nesting. And then another couple pairs, so 550 and 652 Ferdinand, we're pretty sure that they're nesting. This is a picture from Monday when Danae and I went out to try to see where they were nesting. But unfortunately, we weren't able to find their cavity. So we think they're kind of hanging out or nesting somewhere else. So we have some more hiking to do to try to figure out where these nests are. And then our third suspected nest is 881 Minerva, with 631 Zephyr and Pinnacles 745. So that's a new trio this year. But again, kind of based on GPS and signals, we think that those 3 have also decided to try nesting this year. So again, that brings us to 9 nests for the 2023 season. So definitely a great nesting season. So hopefully they're all successful. And again, we're excited to kind of narrow in where these are and see where it goes.
You know, I'd like to jump in real quick because we've had a number of supporters ask about condor reproduction. You know, how well are they doing? Just sort of a general kind of question. And I took the opportunity to look up, in our last report that we just submitted in December of 2022. And I'm really excited to share with you that in the last 5 years, we've had 23 chicks wild fledged just in Central California. And a running total from the time we got started to now, we've had 56 chicks hatch in the wild from eggs that were unmanipulated. So if we climbed into a nest to check out the egg, to study it for any particular reason, like we used to do long ago, then those were excluded from that. So 56 wild fledged chicks without any manipulation. I just think that is amazing, and something that we should all be super proud of. And I'm glad that we're getting the question, because it forces you to sort of look back and say, yeah, how good is it? How are they doing? And I
think
can
it's cool too, like 171 Traveler and Shadow 209 potentially have this surprise chick. Like they all surprised us. So even when we're
Yeah.
trying to get out there and find these nests, like they're still doing it without us. So that's
Yeah.
encouraging as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it really goes to show that reproduction is not the condor's problem. That's not the reason why they are near extinct, and have been fighting to make a comeback. Clearly, it's because of the excessive mortality, and we've talked about that many times. But if any of you are new to this program, wanted you to hear that.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly, for adding that in. Yeah, I mean, we're stoked, especially for these suspected nests. I'm curious to again, with the weather turning, we'll hopefully get out there and confirm them like Kara was talking about. But yeah, they always take us to some pretty cool spots. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to share more about that in the next month's Condor Chat. Wanted to again give and spend some more time thanking our volunteers. Really, I mean, they've been such a huge help to us. And like I said, we have some new folks who have started in the last couple months. Yeah, first, thank them for their flexibility. This past month has been really hard trying to get folks out there to track the coast and just get to interact and monitor the condors like we do. And folks have been very understanding with that as we've had to cancel and reschedule. And again, with the weather turning, just hoping that's going to be behind us, and we'll be able to get more folks out tracking these birds, experiencing them like we've been able to, and also just get some of the newer volunteers trained up and going out there on their own. But yeah, just to recap, I mean, our volunteer tracking program, folks learn how to use the antenna and receivers we use for radio telemetry to track condors on the Big Sur coast. And also record visual observations of the condors, just like we would do when we're out in the field. And they also help us with outreach, talking and communicating with a lot of the tourists and visitors to Big Sur, and even the residents that stop by. I mean, everyone has more to learn on condors, including ourselves. So it's nice to spread the word with our volunteers and then have them spread it even further. And then also just another huge shout out to everyone who watches our live cams on through explore.org, accessing them through our website, through YouTube, wherever. We always appreciate hearing from you guys and reaching out to us about stuff you see. And a lot of the viewers have helped us out a lot with helping us notice things, just because we can't, with us being out in the field a lot. Typically, we don't always have the time to go back and watch every bit of footage that these cams are capturing. So it's a huge help having the viewers watching pretty regularly and reaching out to us, and whenever there's something they have a question about, or if there's something that they think we should be paying attention to, it's a huge help. So yeah, thank you both again to our volunteers and our explore.org viewers. Yeah, a bit of a shorter update today, but yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. Yeah, again, next month with better weather, we should have much more to update you guys on, more nest updates, hopefully some photos of chicks even, we'll see. But yeah, there'll probably be a lot more next month as we're able to get out into the field and keep you guys posted on all the happenings out there. But yeah, thanks again. And yeah, just a reminder here, our next chat will be April 27th. At 4 p.m. Yeah, and I think now, Mike, I'll hand it over to you for a question and answer session.
Okay, well, it may be a short update, but you're not off the hook because there are a number of questions. And you showed that picture of the muddy road, and if I'm driving a Ventana vehicle, I'm pretty much seeing that and turning around and going back to the office. But some questions about what has the Condor crew been able to do? Namely, have you been able to get up there and provide carcasses for the birds? How long has it been?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been able to provide carcasses in Big Sur, especially. I mean, that road is just like the main road we take to our site up there has looked like this. Which yeah, we just is not safe for us to drive in. And any time when it's about to dry out, when we think it might be good enough, another storm has rolled in and just made it all muddy again. And even the cleanup takes time. And there are situations there where we need the help of other residents and colleagues to help keep us in the loop on what's going on up there. There's a lot of things that we can't handle ourselves, like large trees in the road, roads just washing away. There's stuff like that that's happened in the past month that has prevented us from getting up there. That takes more professional attention to clean up and repair. So yeah, it's been a while. I think probably since the beginning of the month, but we're looking for a window, any chance we get to get up there and put carcasses out. And we think next week is looking good for that. When we have our crew back to full strength and we'll be able to get up there as a group and start taking care of some stuff.
Okay, well, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean that these condors are going hungry? Yeah, tell me what the condors are doing now without you guys up there.
Well, I mean, the condors are being wild condors. The animals and food are still dying, so they're just finding them on their own. Darren, I think you said when you were up there earlier this week, you saw some birds with big crops. So they're still finding food. It's just not the food that we're placing. But yeah, they're eating and they're getting trapped at pinnacles. So then we can do their health checks and change their tags and transmitters that we need to do anyways. But yeah, they're okay. They're finding their own food and they're doing fine.
Yeah. That brings me to a question submitted by Kathleen in Tallahassee, Florida. Thanks for joining us. She writes, I've been attending your Condor Chat since late 2021, but just started watching the cams. Watching them as maybe want to know more about those carcasses that are left at the two sites. So I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions here. Are they all calves? Are they donated, or does Ventana have to pay for them? How often are they put out? How many are put out in a month? And are condors born in captivity and released more likely to eat them than wild-born condors? So I've thrown a lot of questions at you, and I'll let you go for it.
I'm trying to remember all the questions.
Yeah, well, first one, are they all calves? Where do we get them, and do we pay for them?
Okay, so most of them are calves, yes. We've also been putting out roadkill deer that state parks are helping us get. But the majority of them are stillborn calves from dairies up kind of just north of the bay area. We do not have to pay for them. They're donated by an amazing group of dairies that we kind of go up there once a month and pick up all the stillborn calves that have passed away that past month. And yeah, so we don't have to pay for them. They're donated, but yes, the majority of them are stillborn calves from dairies.
And we had a viewer interested in nests for San Simeon, and I assume that that there are no active nests in San Simeon, that there are 2 active nests in Big Sur. Correct me if I'm wrong. But also wants to know what's going on in San Simeon in terms of what the birds are doing, any birds in the pen now, and maybe Katie can give us a sense of what the scene is right now at San Simeon condor wise.
Yeah, currently there are no birds in the pen. I think we were starting to set up for potential trapping up there. before I left. But again, the weather has prevented us from getting up there too much. But the birds have been doing well on their own. I believe Darren said he went up there this past week and was able to put food out, which was the first time in two-ish weeks. So I'm sure they're really excited about that.
Yeah, and just to add on a little bit there, yeah, the pen won't be occupied like full time like it was with our rookies until this upcoming fall, whenever we get another cohort of pre-release birds from the captive breeding programs. So yeah, it won't be fully occupied until then, but like Katie just described, we are going to try to use it for some trapping because there are some birds down there that are not leaving and you're going anywhere else to get trapped. So yeah, we're going to give that a shot. But yeah, things down there are a little quieter without the rookies in the pen, but still lots of action going on.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to thank Beta for watching The Giants of Big Sur. Writes that the movie showed a shortage of non-lead ammunition in the local stores. Why is non-lead ammunition not available in stores? Is there a production shortage or is it too expensive for the stores to carry? I'd like to field that question. It's really a process that really sort of hit around COVID. During that summer, I think manufacturing was down as sort of a side effect of COVID. And then we also had a lot of social unrest during that summer. We saw lots of protests and a very large spike in firearm sales. All of those new firearm owners bought ammo to go with their purchases. And so that pretty much cleared the shelves of ammunition, both lead and non-lead ammunition. And we're just now reaching a point where ammunition is coming back to the shelves. And so we've had a long period where ammunition has been very much in short supply. And it was just those events right around COVID that contributed to the shortage. We're hoping for more production and more availability in stores as we move on in time. So thank you for that question. Question from Annette: are we seeing avian flu in the condor population? Is that something that we're looking for? And have we seen any indication of that?
I can, I guess, answer that. So for our handling that we did yesterday, kind of a couple months ago when avian influenza or HPI came on the scene, we kind of locked down our protocol and do foot baths. We wear coveralls, we wear respiratory masks, and just kind of take every precaution we can to passing that on from bird to bird if it is in this like the population, as well as we've started kind of taking extra blood samples as well as doing swabbing so that we can send those tests off to labs to see if there is any kind of indication of it in the population. I know that there has been like positive cases in California, but we haven't had any in the condors in California yet. So yeah, but we're kind of taking all the protocols we can, and we're talking about it a lot.
Great, thanks, Kara. Darren, do we know what happened to One Leg Wonder's other leg, as Donna asks?
Yeah, we don't know what happened to cause the injury initially. But we first noticed that there was a severe injury to that leg, and I think it was September 2021. And I think it was through the cam. I think some of our, again, shout out to our the viewers of our live cams from explore.org. I think they noticed and got in touch with us, and so we were going through the footage pretty closely. And he was holding up that one leg while it was still there. Just holding it up, not using it at all. His toes were balled up. and the skin was also like a really dark color, like this. It looked necrotic, like he had necrotic tissue there, and it was hard to tell just from the camera, like what exactly had happened. There wasn't any, like, we knew that there was a severe injury to the leg, but yeah, like we couldn't tell exactly what had happened, but it was above that joint, right there. And you know, we just kept monitoring him whenever we could. We tried to get visuals of him, closely watch him interacting with other birds, and eventually, you know, he just showed up again one day, and that part of the leg, everything below that joint that looked necrotic, had just fallen off. And he was just, we saw him perching with one leg, like just hopping around on the one leg when he would move on the ground. Yeah, so we don't really know what happened to cause it, but yeah, that's sort of the process of how we noticed it progress. And really, you know, at first it was definitely like clearly bothering him. He was getting picked on by other condors because they could tell something was up. But like as we've been talking about, and as you guys have seen through these updates, like he's really managed it. I mean, better than any of us would have expected, and he's doing really well, all that considered. So yeah, he's really overcome a lot with that.
Yeah, I'm just amazed by Condor 663. It's incredible. Bill wants to know more about the home ranges of the biologists. And you know, I guess whatever we want to share, like he asked a little tongue in cheek, you know, do we do overnights? You know, what sort of roosting patterns do we have in terms of work versus our personal life? Any good feeding spots for the crew? And whoever wants to jump in on this one, I can just say, because, you know, I can speak for myself, because everyone wants to know what I do, of course. And you know, about twice a month, I do overnight trips for delivering ammunition. My last one was in Kern County, and next week I'll be going down to Ventura County. And so I try to get as many non-lead ammunition recipients gathered together along the way, so I can hopefully hit 20 different people with ammunition and really make it an efficient trip. And then I'll stay somewhere down near the end of my destination, and then work my way back the next day. And so so I do have a few of my favorite eating places, but I'm not going to divulge those. But anyone else? Katie, when you were going down there in San Simeon, were you doing overnights? What was your schedule like? How hard did Joe work you down in San Simeon?
Well, for the interns, we're actually based down at San Simeon, while most of the crew spends more time up in the Monterey office and, you know, drives and travels from there. But yeah, our home base was at San Simeon, back in the ridge near the release pen. So that's where we spent most of our time. And then on the weekends, we'd go and travel and go on fun hiking and camping trips.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking for myself, yeah, you know, based out of Monterey here, but yeah, covering a lot of ground as Evan illustrated in this map. But yeah, like you said, Mike, definitely also have I think all us biologists definitely have our regular food stops for places we enjoy. But yeah, I mean, for some of these remote locations we're going to, like San Simeon, as Katie just described, like the feeding site we have in Big Sur, like we're doing overnights frequently, just because a lot of the work we have to do to make those feed outs happen and stuff has to happen at night. So yeah, and especially now with the days getting longer, it ends up being so late by the time we finish with that work that it just makes sense for us to stay up where we are. So yeah, definitely overnights each week.
Yeah, and I guess later on this fall we'll have anticipate completion of the living facility down at the at the sanctuary. And so will that provide more opportunities to have overnights down there? Are we sort of limited right now because we're in that rebuilding mode? Not to, certainly the weather's hampering that as well, but will things change once we get the sanctuary completed?
Yeah, I think, I mean, even the big thing is like, once we have that flight pen completed, there's a lot of stuff where that'll open up most things, but definitely once we have the living arrangements worked out and all those completed, like that'll just smooth the process over that much easier. Having a place like a building and stuff to live in and sleep in, and where we can have more easily store food and stuff. And if we need to stay out there for multiple days, yeah, that'll definitely kind of smooth things over and make it easier for us to do some of our field operations and do some of these overnights.
Mhm. I'd like to get to Amos's question in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Florida is well represented today. Amos writes, the park wardens at Navajo Bridge take pride that their condors are designated by letter or number and not given names to emphasize their wild status. Now, we've taken a different approach, and in fact, you don't have to go as far as the Navajo Bridge. Over at Pinnacles, I guess they have a different approach for naming or not naming condors. And so the question, I guess, is from Amos. Please comment whether you see this as important, this idea, whether it's best to not name or name, what has gone into our decision. And it's not really fair of me to throw this question at the field biologist, because I'm not sure as it's your decision on the naming procedure. But if any of you have some comments, and maybe Kelly, if you have some comments about our process for naming. I know that we don't really see birds as just a number. And I know a lot of people really connect with the birds because of their names. And so while we do not really want to humanize them, at the same time, we do see them as more than just a number. But any other thoughts from Kelly or the crew on the naming of birds?
Yeah, let me jump in, because I'm a trained wildlife biologist, and I remember in college going through many courses, and the instructors, whenever this topic came up, it was very much so, you don't want to personalize the animals you're working with. You want to kind of maintain that sort of distance, if you will. And that's how I was trained, and that's how I went about my life and career and so forth. And then when we started working with condors 25 years ago, we started to recognize that these birds have very unique personalities. And the crew would come back from the field and they'd talk about these birds, and it almost sounded like a soap opera or something. And then, I think it was one of our donors said, well, why don't you give them names? Because I can't remember the numbers. It's a lot easier to remember a name, especially if there's a personality associated with it. So, and in all honesty, that's how it evolved. It's a way to connect people to these individual birds on a more meaningful level. And I think most people that we talk to greatly appreciate that. I remember one time I gave a tour, and I was just so shocked. The woman that I took on the tour with me to go see the birds knew every single individual, their name and their number and who they were related to and everything. And I was just like in awe, but I was kind of shocked because I didn't even know all that information. And I think part of the reason why she was able to recall all of that is because we do give them names. Lastly, you may have seen in the last year or two that we've also been reaching out to Native American partners and asking if they would like to offer names. And I'm so glad that we started doing that, because in many cases, unfortunately, the Native tribe that we're talking about, particularly here in Central California, is so degraded. The membership is just so small. Very few people survived. That there's just so few people around today, and so in a way, giving a condor a name, say in a Ohlone Rumsen language or Esalen language, is a way to help preserve that language, help to promote the language, to never forget it. And we're really really proud to do that. Unfortunately, we had a condor that was named Wasik in Ohlone Rumsen that died. And I don't think we're going to want to go back and rename that bird the same name, but I would love to hear from the Ohlone people if they have other suggestions, for example. So that's kind of where it's come and what we're doing currently. Some of the names like Puff Daddy are just so obvious, because if you know that bird, you watch that bird, you'll see he's always got his cheeks puffed out, and it's just what he does. So it just kind of makes sense that names would follow when you get to know these birds as individuals. Now, keep in mind, when we publish papers in the scientific community, we're not saying Puff Daddy did this and Nomad did that. We're scientists as well, and we know how to wear different hats and address audiences differently based on who they are, what they want to hear.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful answer, and I also respect the way our collaborators approach the naming as well. I think all of us are together in really wanting to do our best for these wild birds, and I think our names have become more thoughtful with time. You mentioned the Indian tribe associations, and we also did naming of women scientists, contributors to scientific research, and so I think more of that is really a good thing as well. I think we've got. Let's do one more question. This is from Elizabeth in Mansfield, Massachusetts. She wants to know what is one of the biggest challenges with the reintroduction program, and that's a weighty question. And if I were to answer it, I would say it is reducing the threat of lead exposure. But Kelly, you've been with the program for so many years, and all of you out in the field have your different perspectives. And so I'll throw it out to any of you to share what you consider the biggest challenges to this recovery process that we have.
If we did a poll, I think 95+% would say reduce lead poisoning. That's clearly our biggest issue. And I think, well, I won't speak for the crew, but that's clearly where I'm at right now. I mean, we've seen that these birds are reproducing quite well. There's a tremendous amount of habitat out there. Most of it's in private land, and it's on beautiful ranch land that can totally support condors. It's literally just the type of ammunition being used that's in their food supply. And if we can solve that, we're going to have a population of condors that's going to be stable and doing really well. I really believe that. So it's almost certainly directly tied to that one issue. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I agree with that. I think, yeah, exactly what Kelly's saying is these condors, I know we've said this time and time again, they know what to do. They're nesting on their own. They're finding their own food. They just keep kind of dying from lead poisoning. So if we get lead out of the environment, they'll be okay and they'll recover. But that's definitely the challenge. Kind of no matter how many birds we release, how many birds fledge from the nest, if they're still dying from lead poisoning, that's kind of not helping the increase of population. So yeah, that's definitely our major threat and number one kind of issue that we're trying to overcome.
Yeah, and I think as an organization, we're all working towards that goal of reducing lead exposure in our different ways. And the crew out in the field, they're working with the birds directly, trying to help them. They're also locating areas that might be high risk, getting that information to others who can help with outreach. And as an organization, we're really focused on promoting the use of non-lead ammunition. A lot of you have expressed interest in what we're doing on a larger scale, trying to reduce lead exposure for wildlife. And we are mindful of that. We are very focused on condors, but at the same time, we are interested in this movement towards moving towards non-lead. Earlier this month, I attended a non-lead summit in Boise, Idaho, where groups from all over the country came together to talk about ways that we can reach hunters and ranchers, proper messaging techniques, different strategies that we can use to try to solve this problem. So it is very much in the forefront of our mind and our strategies for helping these birds and moving towards full recovery of the birds in the wild. I want to thank everyone who attended. We look forward to our next Condor Chat, April 27. Do I have that right, Darren?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So you look forward to seeing you then. We'll look forward to hearing about your efforts getting back out into the field. Today is a little bit sunnier and we look for drier weather to come. And so look forward to hearing more about our nesting birds, which birds are pairing up, what their success is as we move on. Any final words from Darren or Kelly? I'll throw it to you, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, just want to say real quick, thanks everyone for joining in and tuning in today. Yeah, we really appreciate it. This has been a great way for us to connect with you all and just keep you all updated on our work and on the condors and how they're doing. So yeah, just thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I saw a question about what you can do to help on the non-lead outreach. And if you live within Condor range in California, especially where we're focused, even just calling a local ammunition store and asking if they have non-lead ammunition and see what kind of response they get could be helpful. We need to show that there's a greater demand. If you're outside the area, it's a little bit harder to directly participate, but even just sharing information, share the film that we just sent out. The second part is dedicated solely to this topic, and you'll see Mike in that episode. Share that widely as far and wide as you can. We're trying to conduct outreach in the most authentic, respectful way possible, and we recognize that hunting and ranching really is part of the solution here. That's really where the best habitat is, and we have been working closely to help make a switch to non-lead since 2012. You might be surprised to find out we've given away over $250,000 worth of non-lead ammunition already. It's a really big challenge, but we're really focused on it, and whatever outreach you can do on your own be greatly appreciated. So thanks for asking that question. All right, everybody, thank you, and come back next time. We'll see you on April 27th.
Hi guys, thank you.
Bye everyone.